Hi guys, this is Mark McRae, and today I want to talk to you about how do you fire somebody. So I've employed a lot of people, and if you look at the screen here, you'll see this is an example of some of the people I've employed on Upwork. And I've employed here in this one particular company, 466 people. I've spent over $800,000 on them, and that's just one company. So I've easily employed over 1,000 people over the last few years. And you'll see that when you employ somebody through a company like Upwork for outsource personnel, you can review them and give them a star rating, and they can review you. So you'll see that my rating is 4.85. So after having fired over 400 people, I still get a pretty good rating out of 5. And one of the reasons I think I get a good rating is that I'm always try to be honest and fair, right? So it doesn't matter whether that person is working in an office with you or they're in another country, and another part of the world. You should treat them both the same, right? With the same amount of respect. But when you fire people, it can be easy or hard depending on the relationship that you have with them. So right now, I don't have a lot of contact directly with team members. So usually, if I get involved with firing somebody or letting them go, it's because the team or the team managers have come to me and said they've identified this person who doesn't fit in, and they're high enough up that I have to speak to them, or there's a personality clash where they want me to have a look at it. Sometimes I'll go against the advice that I'm getting. My job as the business owner is to look at things impartially. I've got to make decisions based on what I think is best for the company, not always what I'm hearing, but I will generally go with the consensus. If everybody says this person's a bit of a headbanger, they're a troublemaker, they don't fit in, they're destroying morale, then it's a very depersonalized thing for me because I don't really have a lot of relationship. So I'll sit that person down and say, here's the reason why we're letting you go. And then, give them the appropriate documentation, depending on where they are. So that process usually doesn't happen overnight. There's usually, I believe that everybody should be given a chance. So unless they're really disruptive, we'll generally give somebody a warning. We'll say, listen, we've been observing your work. It's not up to scratch. So take this as a warning. And we have a kind of 3 strikes and you're out policy. If we give you a warning, regardless of which country you work in, you're gone. And then that second warning is more serious, and we tell them, look, we've already given you a warning. You're not hitting your KPIs, or these are the reasons why we're unhappy with you. And then on that third warning, we let them go, right? So they know it's coming. For outsourced people, I would say the majority of the time we let them go is because they disappear. So they just let go of the rope. They don't get back in contact with you. You don't know what's happening with them. So you're forced to let them go. But even with contract people, we've had people working for us under contract for over 10 years. And a lot of my permanent staff have been working with me for over 15 years. And we don't have a high turnover of staff because we adopt this attitude where we're fair to everybody, fair to the customer, fair to the team. I try and make sure everybody is treated fairly, regardless of what the situation is. If it's an unhappy customer, how can we make them happy? If somebody has a real grievance, let's look at it and hear their point of view. But if you can't come to that compromise, if you can't come to that a place where the parties involved are happy with one another, you do have to step in and let people go. So that's, a kind of higher up view where you're looking at things impartially. It's very easy to give people advice. When you're a small company and you've got 2, 3, 5, 10 people and you're intimately involved with them, letting someone go can be a lot more difficult because you're working with them every day, you're having 3, 4 conversations with them every day. But you got to adopt that same attitude with, business is not a hobby. Business is there to make money. So the point of business is to make money. If you want to be philanthropic with the money and give it away to charities or do what you want with afterwards, but the business is an engine that has to make money. And if it's your business as the captain of the ship, you have to make hard decisions. And sometimes that is letting people go who have been with you for a long time because they just got lazy. It might be people that you have, it might be relatives, which is always a bad decision. I can't tell you how many business owners I've coached and talked to who have some member of the family in there they're not happy with. Just don't do it. Don't hire friends and family. Everybody will tell me a good example of where that worked, but I can promise you on 100 occasions, it probably only worked once. It never works. So never hire, friends, family, or people that you're close with. So let's get back to that situation where you have to fire them. Just be honest. Just be, straight down the line. Look, I've been unhappy with you for a while. I've spoken to you a little bit. And now it's got to the point where I have to make that decision. And I've made that decision. And I hope it doesn't affect our friendship, if they're a friend or a family or whatever. But however you do it, you got to let them go. But you don't need to be angry about it. Try and make it professional. Don't try and list everything that they did wrong, because they're going to come back to you with everything you did wrong, especially if it's a small team. Just let them know that you are resolute in your decision. You're not going to change it. That decision has been made, and you leave now. You might leave today, or you might leave at the end of the week, or whenever it is. And on that point, I remember years ago when I was in a casino organization, they had a policy that if somebody resigned, they finished that day always. Even if they were required to give a month notice, we finished them that day and then we paid them for the balance. I'm kind of like that too. And once somebody has resigned, I always want them out straight away. I don't want anybody influence the team. Team morale is very important. So let's just regroup there. So whether it's a larger organization where you don't have direct contact with the people that you might have to let go, or it's a small organization where you know the people, the person that you're going to fire intimately, just be honest. Because why else would you fire them? Maybe your company's not doing too well and you decide, well, we're reducing the headcount by 50%. Unfortunately, you're one of the people we have to let go. So if there was any other way I could do it, I would, but I can't. They will know and understand. Maybe it's a case of we don't think you're a good fit. Tell them that. We don't think you're a good fit. It's becoming apparent to us that you're having to be overmanaged. I'm getting a lot of communications to me that you're not doing this or you're not doing that. So whatever the reason that you've made to fire that person, just tell them. Tell them the truth. One of the things you'll realize that when you let people go is you think inside your head is going to have this traumatic effect on them. It never does. Most of the time they've been expecting it because people know how much work and how much commitment they have to a company. And a lot of the time, they're very blasé about it. Yesterday this is a good example. We have a small team in this organization. It's a team of about 12 people, and there's about 5 people in this office environment. This one person was taking time off that we determined we didn't think was real, that they weren't really sick. So you can't really prove that, right? So, if you can ask them to have a doctor's certificate, but and you can make that, you can structure that in such a way that it's difficult for them to be sick if they're not really sick. But more importantly, the managers who were supervising that person had told me that she's not learning from her mistakes. We're having to tell her again and again and again, and that's an indication to me that that person needs to be overmanaged. And also that person had only been working with the company for 10 days, something like that. So there wasn't really an opportunity to work with that person to see if we can try and improve them. We just had to make that decision to ask that person to leave. So when that person came in, I explained it just like that. I know that you're new here. We appreciate the time and the effort that you've, been with us, but it doesn't look like you're going to be a good fit for this company. So rather try and make, your life difficult by forcing these key performance indicators on you, we've made the decision to let you go. Here is what you're going to get. You need to give us a week's notice. We've decided that you do not need to work for that week, and here's the amount that you're going to get on that. At that. Would you like to chat about it, talk about it? No. Most of them just say no, and they're out. But they've kind of expected it. But as a business owner, I think the most important thing, and maybe this is, rather than how to deal with people, the most important thing about working with staff is a lot of it's got to do with your team morale. A lot of it's got to do with how you mentally deal with problems in your organization. I remember, when I was younger, I used to worry about what people were thinking, whether I'd said the right thing. Was it too harsh? Was it too nice? Wasn't I harsh enough? Nah, I just don't care. It's not that I don't care about the staff, but no one ever needs to second guess me. No, there's no hidden agenda with me. If I have a problem with anybody in any team, I'll talk to you directly and say, I'm not happy with this. Let's figure out how we can make that work. So I never, when I go to sleep and go to bed, there's nothing going through my head about I should have said that to that person or I should have acted differently. I just do it. And you should be the same way, because you never want to be in an organization that sinks because you never had the balls to talk to somebody the way they should have been spoken to. Right? That's just something you have to accept as a business owner. You're going to have to do things that can feel awkward, but I promise you it will get better. And people will respect you for it, hopefully, more because they always know where you stand. Every person in my life, whether it's my family or my business associates or people that I coach, you get me the same way. I'm trying to be forthright and honest, and if somebody's not doing what they should, I tell them. Anyway, I hope these points help today. And if you like these tips, the best place to get me is on YouTube. And if you do go there, please subscribe. Thanks for listening.